It's Vanessa with the At Home with Sagicor team, and today we're back talking renovation safety and DIY home upgrades. And we have a very special guest with us today, Richard Smith, our resident handyman and DIYer. Welcome, Richard.
Thanks, Vanessa, for having me.
And today, we're talking about DIY projects. So, of course, the most important thing to have would be tools.
Right.
So, Richard, tell us about the tools we should have in our toolbox.
Okay, I think every DIYer needs to have some degree of tools in their toolbox. And a good thing to start with is a good drill, and a combination drill is really good.
Okay.
So a combination drill gives you that drill to drill holes. It also gives you opportunity to drive in screws and fasteners. But if you're drilling into a harder surface, it also gives you the option to have a hammer drill that you can use. Now, equally as important as your drill is your selection of drill bits. And you have different bits, whether you're drilling into masonry or stone, or if you're drilling into wood or metal.
Okay.
Then you have specialty bits if you're doing a countersink hole and so on. And of course, you have stuff for when you're doing drivers. So this becomes a screwdriver. There are very a wide selection of tips that you can get. You can get Phillips in different sizes, flat in different sizes. You can even get nut drivers. Oh. Right? And of course, you want to measure your stuff.
Yes.
So a big part of any toolkit should be a measuring tape, one with a safety. So,
okay.
So when you extend it, you can make measurement. So you can use your hand to write and mark stuff. When you're ready to close it, you just press the safety. Then you should also have a good hammer. And hammers come in many different sizes, shapes, and fashions. But a good hammer to have would be a claw hammer.
Okay.
So a claw hammer does two things. It drives the nails in, but if you make a mistake, you can also use the claw side
to pull out the nails. Okay, perfect.
So that's another good thing to have.
Okay.
You may not have a driver tip for your screwdriver, so you may want to have the traditional screwdrivers. And I would say get these in a standard size Phillips and a standard size flat. No need to go too big or too small, kind of like in the middle of the street for those ones.
Okay, so just a quick recap. Essentially, these bits
mirror these.
A screwdriver.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
And then, of course, you want to have a couple of pliers. And we have two here. We have an adjustable pliers. Some people call it a wrench pliers. And it can go from a very big nut to a very small nut.
Oh.
And then this is a combination pliers. So this is a regular pliers. It's insulated hands, so it can be used in electrical applications. And this also has a side cutter, so you can cut cables and wires with the inner portion. Yeah. So these few items would create the basis for any DIYer's toolkit. And you'll find that these items will have many, many uses around your home for all those DIY projects.
I was about to say, it's actually perfect how a lot of these tools serve so many different purposes, so you can just minimize or maximize, I would say, on their...
Well, minimize your expenditure.
It's true.
While maximizing the impact.
Oh, perfect. So you're talking about tools. Tell me about the safety with using these tools.
Okay, so safety really should fall into three categories. It's your eye protection. Sparks may fly. You're drilling into masonry, dust may fly.
May fly back into your face.
So the first thing you want to have is some safety goggles.
Yes.
You're working with wood, wood splinters. First thing you want to look at there then is gloves.
Gloves.
And there are two categories of gloves you can look at. You can look at a leather type glove, or more common nowadays would be a fabric glove with a resin coating. So it's still flexible, but it will reduce the likelihood of a splinter getting through into your hand. And of course, as you would appreciate, some of the tools and some of the activities can get noisy.
Yes.
So you want to protect your ears as well. And that ear protection will fall into two categories. You have over the ear, so like the older type headphone type stuff.
Yes.
And then in the ear, the actual plugs.
Oh, okay.
But always be very cognizant when you're using ear protection of any dangers that may happen, because you may not hear the alert.
Oh, yes.
If someone is giving you an alert. So be very conscious of it, and try not to have them on when you're not needing them. So if you're measuring and so on, you can take off your ear protection or take out your ear protection and just use them when you're about to do the low part of the job.
That's actually a brilliant tip, because I never would have thought about that.
So as I said, just generally, your eyes, your ears, and of course, your hands.
Your hands. Perfect. Richard, I know you are an expert DIYer at this rate. So tell some of those homeowners out there some of the projects that they could try to tackle at home.
Okay, well, once again, there are quite a few projects that the average person can tackle at home. And a simple one would be repainting. A coat of paint refreshes a room, brightens a room.
It's true.
It can set the mood. think of it this way, your entryway. You know, over time you may want to change the look of your entryway.
Yeah,
and you can go from a dull wood color to a bright red door, you know, a welcoming red door, or blue has been very attractive recently. So repainting is a good project that most people can handle at home. It's not very dangerous. Obviously, if you're going up high, you want to remember, you know, to have safety as a concern. Put down your drop cloths. That's easy.
Actually, before you go on, at our painting episode, we did have our rep say that they have people who come in and paint at least once a year.
Yes.
So I can see a lot of people are definitely taking that on as an easy DIY project.
It's relatively easy.
Yeah.
Another one that is relatively easy as well too is lighting. So, you know, in the older homes, you would have what we call fluorescent bulbs, where, you know, you have or incandescent bulbs, the older bulb, you know, round type bulbs.
Yeah.
And a lot of those can be easily changed with LED fittings, which give just as much light or more, but while they consume a lot less power.
Okay.
So you get nicer, brighter light at a more affordable price.
More affordable, okay.
And then, of course, another thing that most people can handle their own, and most of what you would need to do that task is already here. There's only one other item that you would need, and this is window treatments. So hanging new curtains and so on.
Oh.
And outside of the tools that we talked about before, the only thing that you would really need is something to make sure that it's level. But suppose you didn't have a spare level. Come back into the tape measure, and you can measure from ground to the anchor point where you want to hang your curtains. So curtains, blinds, drapes, those are window treatments, and those are some things that are simple that you can do at home yourself.
Oh, perfect. So final thing, let's talk about safety in terms of doing these projects.
Yeah.
What are some things to avoid?
Okay, so if you're doing electrical repairs or renovations, it's very important to be very careful around electricity. So you go to your breaker panel, and you can actually shut off the power for that room. Anytime you're in doubt, flick the main breaker and shut off all of the electricity within the building or the unit, and that makes it a lot safer.
Okay.
Another thing that you can look at too is when you're going up on heights. If you don't have a step ladder and you're using a chair, make sure the back of the chair is in front of you. The reason for that is if you lose your balance, you can step down off the back of the chair and regain your balance a lot easier. If the back of the chair is behind you, you're likely to end up falling off the chair and injuring yourself.
Yes.
We talked about safety protection before, and your eye safety is always very important because the eye safety can be the start of a disaster. You know, something goes in your eye, you can't see, and you end up causing more damage than you would have. And then other things like plumbing safety. Obviously, if you have a leak you're fixing, you want to shut down the water main to reduce the likelihood of flooding and that sort of stuff. But with every project, you want to think safety and think through what you're doing. Another thing is don't rush through projects. When you rush, you may say, I'm only just going to be drilling a little bit. I don't need to put on the eye safety. But drill bits do break and metal shards can fly.
That's true.
Dust can blow and get into your eye. So regardless of how quick the project is going to be, just remember your safety protection as well. And then on top of that, what you want to do is try to think through what you're doing. So there may be parts of your tasks that may be a bit more than you can handle. So make sure that you have that extra person on hand to help you lower a weight or move a big heavy item so you don't break anything else in the room and so on. So I think those are some of the pitfalls that sometimes we get too comfortable with and we overthink our ability.
Yes.
And it can cause danger. So just think through your safety, plan your work.
Ahead,
And let's be honest, there are some jobs that are just not DIY friendly.
It's true.
So know when to call in the cavalry.
It's true. Thank you so much, Richard. You've been amazing.
My pleasure.
And while we do encourage you guys to go and tackle those DIY projects, we want you to do so safely. So please pay attention to our tips. And thank you so much for joining us in another segment of At Home with Sagicor. Bye, guys. Bye.